What do you think,
Woo!
Brian?
Beautiful.
We got to finish up Old Blue Thunder, the 46 Ford Coupe.
So I'm gonna go ahead and create some running boards from scratch.
That's a big panel.
Now it's time to put some new metal back in this thing.
I don't know if we ever worked on the MG here before. Whose car is this?
Some guy named John Cena.
There's a whole community that lives and breathes these cars. There's gonna be all eyes on this when we're done. The all-tube custom buggy is a huge job. Is it gonna make some power? 1,500 horsepower and about... You know, trying to get jobs in the door. Somebody had a crazy idea. Cool, bring it on. I'll figure it out. You know, I didn't tell them I would figure it out. Man, no problem at all. But, you know, getting into the job, you know, you have that little anxiety of, man, I'm not real sure what to do. But, you know I can figure it out. You know, no matter how big the job is, how small the job is, we get in and we get it figured out every time. Here, cut my truck in half and make it a little longer, no problem at all. We'll figure it out. You know, here we are, 23 years later, we're still saying yes to all the jobs, no matter how big, how small. You know, that's exactly why I get at the shop every morning early. Morning. You know, getting the guys going, getting parts coming, trying to coordinate is super tough. So getting to work early is absolutely what it takes to keep building the business, to keep getting cars in and out. That's the name of the game. What's happening, man?
What's up, dude?
MG, huh?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if we ever worked on the MG here before, but
What's your first?
I'm always up for it. The MGC was only produced 1967 to 1969. There wasn't that many of them even made, let alone still around to customize. Ekstensive isn't real big into the British motoring scene, but, you know, I guess somebody wants to customize this, I'm in. Whose car is this?
Some guy named John Cena.
Surely not the John Cena, right? I mean, look at this car. That's a big old dude to have
It's a big
little
old dude,
car.
bro.
So it can't be. Can't be. You know, it'd suck to have the same name as a famous guy, right?
I mean, until you go get a dinner reservation.
Well, I get you get a pretty good table, huh?
Yeah, until you show up. I'm like, who the hell's that?
Right? So you don't have any idea what we're doing, anything?
Nope. I'm gonna text you this information. You can take care of it.
Yeah, text me all that, man. I'll get in touch with them, see what we're doing to it. You know, I can look around this car all day and, you know, just have a bunch of ideas. But until I actually talk to the owner, John Cena, once I talk to him, get a game plan nailed down, we'll kind of go from there. It's just not in my nature to say no. But, you know, at this point, we don't even have an empty bay for this building. So before we even think about getting going, we got to finish up Old Blue Thunder, the 46 Ford Coupe.
How's everything with the coupe out there?
You know, that's a big, big, big project, right? Big.
Yeah.
A long, drawn-out process. You know, getting the body to where it's at now just has taken months and months.
Oh, yeah, that thing was beat up.
It was definitely beat up. You know, after decades of collecting dust in the garage, my Northside neighbor, Ryan, wants to surprise his dad by having us customize his 46 Ford to make it one of one. We've made good headway. You know, the body work's mainly all done on the outside of the car, which is really, really saying something. That's a lot of work on that whole car.
Ton.
The floor's in. We got a long way to go still. We got to build the running boards, firewall. We need to finish the front suspension. That way we can get the frame off to powder coat. We can get the body on a cart, and they can start doing the final body work and pick a color and make Old Blue Thunder come back to life.
Color's gonna be blue.
I mean, yeah, it's still Blue Thunder, no matter if it was named back in the 80s and...
It's been its name.
Yeah. You know, it's our first time working on a 46, but it ain't our first time building a cool car, that's for sure.
Or the last.
Damn right. Brian's doing good, you know, surprising his dad with that, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully my sons do that for me one day, who knows? These days, it's getting a lot harder just to find the parts. A lot of the times, it's just easier, sometimes faster, just to make them ourselves. So John's gonna make those new running boards.
The car from the factory came with running boards, and because we don't have none, it needs something there between the front and rear fender. It looks like something's missing. So I'm gonna go ahead and create some from scratch, make this car look right. We have nothing to work with, so I'm figuring it out as I go. Started with this sheet metal, it's gonna bolt up under the cab, and then I'll get my outside contour once this is all bolted up under there. There's really no science to this. I'm just giving this bar a slight curve. I don't want it to be overbent where it looks like a big bubble coming out of the side of the car, and I don't want it too straight where it looks flat. We gotta get it the same curve almost to what the body has to it, so it looks like it fits that car perfectly. And that looks good. Now all I gotta do is cut the ends off to match the contour of the fender. Damn, son. Now with the tubing laying on top of the panel, I marked me a line with the edge. What I'm gonna do is trim that panel off. And that bar will go underneath it, and it'll butt up evenly on the edge. I got the top panel all clamped down to the sidebar. I'm gonna tack it all in place. Flip it over, add some cross sections in there. So when this gets bolted up to the cap, the bolt's gonna go through these and the sheet metal to make everything stronger. All right, I got everything in place, tacked in. Now I'm gonna get this under there and it should fit in there nice and snug. Just right. Got a little bit more welding to do, we'll be good to go.
To get started on the rear quarter panels for the 46 Ford. We're gonna do it a little different this time. We're gonna carry our panel all the way up to the roof. That way our headliner just runs flat across the top, and then our walls will actually run all the way up. So what I'm doing is I'm using chipboard because it allows me to bend it and contour it to get the curve in it that I want, and once it's in place, that's actually the substrate that I put my fiberglass on to give it the strength that it needs to actually turn it into a panel. All right, all the chipboard's in place, everything's glued up. It's got a great shape to it, so now I'm just gonna take my resin. This is gonna give our chipboard the strength that we need to hold this panel so that it stays in place. To tie it all in to the back side of the seat, everything will match up, everything will line up real good. All right, we got the rear quarters all glassed in, everything's ready to go. We'll let them dry. Once they're dry, we'll start working on the inserts and everything for the panels. Our fit's good. Everything's looking good around it. So what we had to do, we had to put the front door on first before we could put this on. That way, when this goes on, we make sure that this lines up perfectly and we have a nice even line across the car. We don't want to end up with it too high or too low, so we just take a minute, make sure we get everything in where it needs to be, and then we can get it glued into place. For the lower part of the panel, I'm gonna make the insert out of PVC. All right, everything's in place, glued up, ready to go. All the lines line up, so next thing we're gonna do, get some filler, get this locked into place, and start body working. All right, so as you can see, we've got everything laid out. Our lines carry from the front all the way into the back. Once it's all dry, take this panel out completely, take it over to the interior shop, and start sanding on it and get it body worked over there. Get out of this nightmare, and we'll make magic.
You know, there was nothing, absolutely nothing inside the coupe before we started. So John and his team are getting it done, some really badass custom door panels.
That's a big panel. I didn't think it was this big, so I tried to get it out of the car. I got everything mudded up in place, so all we gotta do now is just sit here and sand and sand and sand.
Gonna share the pain.
This next thing we do is just take some 36 grit, knock down all the high spots and everything. That way, when we go to run our tools across it, we don't have to worry about our spreaders getting snagged up or anything.
Go work on the other panel while you get your shape in.
Okay. With the size and the quality of the builds we're doing, I'm always on the lookout for new talent. I've known Jen for a while, and she brings a different set of skills I really thought we could use.
I actually started my professional model making career working as a subcontractor for NASA. So I was doing little plastic scale models and doing full-size module mock-ups to train astronauts. I have had a scale model of mine in space.
Put a little cheese on it, and we mix. So as you can see, we've got everything molded together from the rear quarter all the way into the door panel. Everything's got good curves, lines, everything's molded out real nicely. We've got our details in it that we were after, so all this is done. All we have left to do now is get it wrapped up and get it in the car.
You know, the body was in bad shape, a lot of it way beyond repair. So Jamie and John are fabricating some of the last metal work.
Okay, so you can see that firewall's got way too many holes. It's old, it's nasty. Now it's time to put some new metal back in this thing. Okay, so I got pretty clean cuts on the old firewall. So I'm gonna use this as a template now. Pretty happy with that. Make quick work of it. Hey, buddy, I got these templates made right here. You think you can bead roll these panels for me real quick?
I got you. I'm gonna get this transferred over to some sheet metal, get it bead rolled, and get this firewall placed back in the coop. I'm gonna go in here and lay out some designs, kind of mimic the front end of this coop, how the grill slats are horizontally. I think I'm gonna do that same concept here on the firewall. So what I'm doing is I'm staggering the edge of what I'm gonna bead roll, so the top one's gonna be narrower, the next one down is gonna be a little wider, so they're not just all ending up and down in the same straight line. So they're gonna kind of grow as they go down, just like the way the grill does on the front of the car. All right, man, I think it'll look good. Go ahead and bead roll this. Slow and steady and keeping your eyes on the line. That's the winning ticket. The cool thing about the custom car world is all this cool stuff we make here is done by hand. By eyesight, by the feel and touch. It's not a big old giant machine that's stamping out a piece of metal. It's just tailored to that specific vehicle. That's custom, and that's what I love to do. Using the flat edge of this hammer, and I'm making all the corners pointy because you cannot get a perfectly sharp corner with a round bead roll wheel. We're gonna cut all the excess off. Now we got this all done, trimmed out. We're gonna take this handmade piece over to the coop, get it tacked in place, and we'll have us a fresh custom firewall.
All right.
My fellow Northsider Ryan wants to surprise his dad with a custom 46 Ford with a one-of-a-kind design to match its classic look. And that's exactly the balance John's trying to hit with that center console.
Got a pretty cool idea for a design for the center console for the 46 Ford. We're gonna kind of try to mimic the hood a little bit at the front of the console. So we're gonna just do a little stack fab. I'm gonna first start with making my template. So what I do is I fold it in half. That way I can get a mirror image to the other side. That transfers the arch that I made on one side to the other so that both sides are gonna be symmetrical. So now everything's drawn out. All I have to do is finish cutting it out and we got our template. Now that we got our template made, we're ready to rock. So now we'll just take this, transfer this into some MDF, start stacking this thing up, get our pieces made, and we'll start shaping it into where it needs to be and get it in the car. Good God! Just like that. So what I'm doing is I'm just gonna do a layout here so that I can rough cut all my pieces, grab my jigsaw, cut them out. Sit over to the router, stack them up, spread a little cheese. Okie dokie, hey Jen. You got some pieces?
I got some triangles. So these are coming from the transmission tunnel.
Yeah, just to give us our simulated angle that we're after here. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna take this piece of sign board and use that as a barrier between the two. So once it's all in place, we're gonna pack the inside edges with fiberglass. All right, everything's glassed up. Once it's dry, we can actually start carving on this. Once we get it all shaped out, then we can go back to the car and get it molded into the floor.
Part of never saying no is not saying no to my own crazy ideas. Because once I get them in my head, I can't get them out. And the latest is the all-tube custom buggy that we're gonna build from scratch. All we have now is 58-inch tires and military-grade axles. But we're also gonna need a lot of power. What's up, fellas?
What's happening, man?
How you doing, man? Man, what do you got, man? I thought you were bringing me an engine.
Well, we did.
See, engine parts.
Exactly. I'm gonna put it together here, man.
Cool, cool. This is gonna make some power.
1,500 horsepower and about 2,000 foot-pounds of torque, a little over that. This thing's gonna make some power.
That's what I want, because I'm building this, full tube chassis buggy, and I want something that it will get it.
So you're gonna put a 1,500 horsepower Cummins in a tube chassis. How much is this thing gonna weigh?
Probably 2,500 pounds, maybe.
So 2,500 pounds, 1,500 horsepower, 2,200 foot-pounds of torque. It's gonna be a rocket.
That's exactly what I want.
You're gonna let me drive it, right?
There's so many things you have to do when you take an engine that runs 3,000 RPMs and take it to 6,000 RPMs to make it stay together. The factory valve spring doesn't have enough pressure to keep the valve from floating at high RPMs. With the bigger cam that we're gonna run in here, we got these right here, they have a lot more travel there. We can push it in farther, doesn't break the spring, and we can spin this thing to the moon, have an awesome time with it, make a lot of power.
So what we have here is the factory freeze plug. With all the power we're gonna be pushing to it, it'll just blow these right out. It'll send them through the moon. These, we thread into the head, so it actually screws in, so we can spin as much RPM, as much power we want to it.
Just get these last few done, and then we're gonna start assembling the engine.
Yes, sir.
So in order to handle all the RPMs and the load, we're gonna have to add these billet tappets in there. These tappets are, twice as strong as the factory cast tappet. With these in there and the billet cam, we'll be able to spin this thing as high as we want with no issues.
Got it?
So the crank we're using right here is a factory 6-7 crank that has been polished and balanced. Spins really good. We're fixing to install the lower main cap bearings and main caps, torque it down, check everything, and then we'll start putting the front cover on and installing the cam.
All right, we got a custom spec cam here for our 6.8 liter Cummins.
So what you see here, this is your intake lobe, and that's your exhaust lobe. The tappets we put in earlier, they ride on this right here, and they go up and they go down. So with this cam here, it actually has a lot more lift on these, so you get more air in and out. That lowers cylinder pressures and able to spin more without a restriction in the cylinder. Now that we got our cam in, we're gonna put our billet retainer on. What this does is, we have all these gears moving around in here. These things like to walk off the camshaft. So what this does, goes on here, has a bolt in there, and that keeps the cam gear from walking off the cam.
Such a little simple fix can keep you from...
Save you thousands of dollars, man. Like a lot of money. Dad's got the ring size to each cylinder. Dad's gonna push this in the cylinder here with this ring compressor, and Clay's gonna put the rod caps on. We're gonna do that 6 times.
Now that we got the rotating assembly in, I always like to turn them over with a pry bar to make sure that we don't have anything binding up. Everything spins freely. This one does spin like butter.
I I got it.
We ought to be able to turn 6,000 RPMs out of this, no problem.
It's easy, easy, easy. Beautiful, man.
You know, the Wells family did a great job building a lot of horsepower in the engine, about 1,500 horsepower. Man, I think we're gonna put all this power in the back. You know, all the monster trucks have that stuff for the weight distribution. You know, they jump super good with all that weight, a little more equalized.
Okay, stay right there a minute. Get that stand right there.
Oh, man. That's
This
1,500
cool.
horsepower, man. That's gonna be a lot for this buggy.
That's crazy. Never had a
Yeah.
diesel with any kind of power like that ever.
So torquey, too, man.
Here I'm gonna get some calls of somebody wanting me to pull them out of the mud.
Man, if you don't get any calls, you didn't do it right.
We'll build stands for the engine, and then we'll figure out the wheelbase, and we'll be ready to start building. The all-tube custom buggy is a huge job, because all we got at this point is just a few parts. Everything else we need to make.
This thing has a ton of challenges, a ton of styling challenges.
What do you call it? The pre-motor mount? Motor mount?
Technical challenges.
You can tell this thing is heavy. It's a diesel. You know, you got your transmission and a transfer case in this thing. There's a lot of weight right here, so I want to make sure it's supported good.
And just making everything go together challenges.
You know, the next step on this is finding the wheelbase. There's no specific way to do that. There's no calculation, okay, for this buggy, you need this wheelbase. There's no such thing.
Scoot the jack stand a little bit forward. Yeah.
So you just kind of go by the feel. You got a picture in your mind how the suspension's gonna look before it's even there. The front axle is in a pretty good spot, but back seat, there's plenty of room there. And we got to take in consideration that the rear wheels are gonna
Rear steer.
Yeah. So we gotta definitely make seat room for sure. Before you start making anything, you gotta kind of visualize, okay, the 4-link bars are gonna go here, steering shafts here, columns here, the gearbox needs to be over here.
That's almost where the steering wheel's at.
Yeah. And kind of reference all those years of building other cars, other trucks, and just kind of play it by ear. And we'll see what's about to happen.
I'm getting nervous, man. I'm definitely gonna bring my helmet.
You're definitely gonna need your helmet.
No riding with you.
We're trying to get the last of the front suspension done on the 46 Ford so we can get it off the powder coat. You know, we got our first side of the suspension all mocked up, which, you know, has its difficulties. You know, you're working around the alternator, you're working around the header, you're trying to get the pivot points all 100% so the camber's all right, you got plenty of alignment. You know, that's the difficult part of all the suspension work that we do around here. Once everything's figured out on one side, the difficulty is making everything a mirror image of what's on the driver's side. You know, this is one of the most crucial parts of the whole suspension building process. It's pretty close. Level. It's true. Getting that part all lined up 100% true is huge for the suspension building process. So next step is just taking a ton more measurements, and then we can do the bag mount, shock mount as a wrap. The body guys did a great job on the 46 Ford. So we're ready to move it over to paint. And of course, Blue Thunder, it has to be blue. We got a ton of colors to pick from. There's a lot of blues. You know, there's a lot of pressure on me to pick the right color not just to make the customer happy, but I want to pick the right color in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now. That color still looks good on that car. You paint it a dark blue, it's gonna date it. It's gonna look like it was built back in the 80s, 90s, when everything was dark blue. The way the body is shaped, you know, I think a lighter color with a metallic is really gonna set off the lines and the curves of the car. You know, I'm thinking something like this is really gonna go good on the body style of that car.
But definitely it's gonna be a cool color. We already put 2 of these bottles in there, and we still gotta put more. I never seen a color took that much pro in it. The pro is gonna give that flop, you know, when the sun hits it. Well, I started painting cars when I was like 12. When I was little, I used to paint my bikes and all that. Then when I was in high school, I used to paint my friends' cars. I didn't know what I was doing, but then I went to school for it, learned how to do it the right way, and it went on from there. The car has a lot of curves, so it's really gonna make this Pro stand out a lot. Painting the car, giving that cool color, is what gives the car that life, gives that attitude to the car. Right, Blue Thunder is back.
We finished the frame on the 46 Ford and sent it off to powder coat. It came back in a white base, and Juan and the team color matched it blue. Now we can get that late model Coyote engine on the frame. You know, it's been a long time coming. I'm really excited. It's been a lot of work for everybody on the whole team to get to this point right here. And I can't wait to give this to Brian. He's gonna be just blown away. Seeing a big build like this come together, you know, as usual, my guys are just putting it all on the line. Because if we take a job like this in, we're gonna get it done, and we're gonna get it done right. That's just what this business is built upon, is not saying no, taking in those jobs that nobody else wants to do because they're too big or too complicated. It really is John Cena.
I mean, are you sure? Because really no one can see me.
You know, John, when your car came in, I was talking with the record driver, and he said it was John Cena's, and I was like, man, you know, I assumed such a small car was, you know, for a smaller John Cena somewhere else in the world, not the John Cena.
Nah, it's me, man. I pride myself on the unexpected and the unpredictable, and there's a lot about me that people don't know from just what they've seen, and this is certainly an example.
You know, we never had an MG in the shop before, so I'm kind of interested in what are you wanting to do to this thing?
I love the old British cars because they're small. I love the look of like the gauges on the dash and just the old racy type of feel that the cars have. And I bought it because it was kind of rare, but the only thing that was rare about it is the V6, and the V6 is kind of a dog anyway. So you guys not only do rare, you do like one of one.
That's it.
So I wanted to take a car that's relatively affordable and do something absolutely crazy with it.
There's no pressure there, right?
Yeah. You guys kill it on stance, and you guys kill it on body and paint, but I want to put some power in this thing too. So I want to lower it. I want to make it a wide body, like a GT3 type of inspiration.
Hell yeah. The total race inspired for that car. Man, I definitely dig that.
I want to keep that British feel on the interior, but I also want to make it racy. I've fallen in love with like the Gulf paint jobs. So I was even thinking like a French racing blue with orange and black pinstriping. And also it's currently a 4-seat, and you know that if we do all these mods, nobody's going to ride in the back. So do whatever you want with the rear hatch. It is like a hatchback, so you guys can have some fun with the extra real estate in there and do whatever you want. I've been obsessing over this car only because I know what you guys are capable of. I have very, very high hopes, and I know it's going to take a lot of man hours because it's going to be a lot of fab, and I don't know what's underneath.
I don't get surprised anymore once we start tearing cars apart. There's always hidden parts and pieces all throughout.
I have no doubt, and there's also another reason why I sent you personally an MG. I know you do a lot of one-offs, but this car is going to be under a microscope. enthusiasts are going to look at this car, and this will absolutely be something that the shop can hang its hat on. So I really kind of wanted to put you guys to the test.
Not only is this built for the John Cena, but the MG community, the MG world is going to take notice of this. You know, the stakes definitely couldn't be higher, but I'm ready for it. My team's ready for it.
You're gonna get in this car, put your butt in the seat, and go through the gears and have fun?
I do not believe in parking something that should be driven. When it's parked, I will look at it as a piece of art, but I also want to be able to get in, drive, have fun, put some miles on the odometer for sure.
Man, that's what I like to hear.
The car is an automatic. I would love it to be a 3-pedal car because there's nothing like driving with a manual, especially like an old British car.
Right.
And also, if you can pull off the GT3 sort of wide body design, I would love to do something funky with the doors. Either like McLaren style or Gullwing style or even Aston Martin style where they kind of go out.
Hold up. You just want to get in that car easier.
Maybe. Maybe I do. And maybe like a hydraulic jack to set me down inside it. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm really excited about this. Of course, I always say that, but, you know, I haven't worked on an MG before, and I can't wait to get the creative juices flowing.
This is not by accident. I really admire your work, and man, the look on people's faces when they see the projects that are done, I'm really hoping that I can share that look with you in person when the car is all done.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you very much, and I'm excited. We're going to make you something really, really cool.
I cannot wait. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you guys do the car.
John Cena.
That was John Cena.
That was John Cena.
You know, when it comes to customizing anything, you know, trucks are my deal. You know, American cars are my deal. You know, when it comes to an MG, we never had one in the shop. I've never put my hands on one, and making the Ekstensive style fit an MG is going to be challenging, but I'm definitely up for that challenge. You know, there's a whole community that just lives and breathes these cars. So there's going to be all eyes on this car when we're done. I mean, that's a whole nother level of exposure, and people are just going to be going through it with a fine-tooth comb just to see what we did and what we modified. Once I pull this thing in the shop, you know, the guys are once again going to think I'm crazy, you know, bringing an MG into the shop. And, you know, once they know this is John Cena's car and what all we're doing to it, they're going to be just as excited as I am. What up, Jimmy?
It's probably the first time I've ever lifted the hood on an MG.
First time we ever had one in the shop, ever.
Why is it in the shop?
Because when you get a call from the John Cena saying he wants Ekstensive to build him an MG, it shows up at the shop.
That's nuts.
Isn't that pretty cool?
That's real cool. I just think he'd fit in this thing.
Right? He wants to drive this car. Like, take it on a track, drive the hell out of it.
I would have never pictured one of these for like a road course car, but how small it is, you put enough power, it might be a lot of fun on a track.
That was gonna be fun. This 69 MGC was known for its straight six, but we're gonna give it a lot more power. You know, I don't know what kind of power we're gonna put under the hood yet. We're gonna rip all that out and just start fresh. New engine, new trans, nice suspension under it, coilovers, front and rear, big brakes in the fender well, good size tire, new paint, of course, new everything. You know, as far as the interior, just totally reimagine what's in there. You know, some nice seats and just reconfiguring gauges, just make it look really, really cool. Just something that he can get in and go, damn, this is badass, and want to drive this everywhere he goes.
Man, that's a privilege. He could choose anybody to do it, and he chose the shop on Sunny Drive.
Right. See, that's why we get up and come to work every day, right?
You never know who or what's going to walk through that door.
So we got to order a lot of parts and a big engine.
All right.
You know, as pumped up as we are to get John Cena's car on the lift, you know, it's pretty much a game of bays around here. We got to get the 46 Ford out of the bay to make some room for it. I love seeing the rolling chassis come together. You know, it's all the work that nobody really gets to see, but in this stage.
So the car may look like a 46 Ford, but underneath, under the hood, it's a brand new car. So what we did is we put a Coyote in this thing, but with that comes a lot of technology, computers, wires, sensors. So now we have to put a whole new harness in this car, hide wires. It's a lot of work, but you'll be able to take this car anywhere you want to go.
I asked for a helper today. All this guy wants to do is take naps on me. So we're running this aluminum line from the air manifold all the way to the airbag. We use aluminum because it'll virtually last forever, and it looks a lot better than your typical plastic or copper. We got a lot of bending to do and a lot of clearances to make sure we make. We do not want this interfering with anything else on this chassis, and we want it to flow with the frame rail as well. Whenever you make a mark, there's a certain spot you need to put that mark on that bender to get your bend on that line. Don't come with no instruction manual, so it's all about figuring it out. And if you don't do it right, your lines ain't gonna look right. And when your lines don't look right, it makes this beautiful chassis look like crap.
A build like this takes way more than a typical 9-to-5 day to finish. It's months of early mornings and lots of late nights. You know, that's especially true as we get to the end.
Ryan and his dad need their car back, and we want to see his chassis complete. So we're going to bolt the wheels on. We're going to roll it over there.
Or you want to get it right here with one fork?
You know, it's a huge milestone for us. This started out as some rectangle tubing and some pipe. Now it's a full chassis fixing underneath the car.
Yeah, go for it.
Firewall good? Right now it is. Man, it's cool when it always comes together. Get a little bit of bling on it, make everything come out, man. I think he's gonna be real happy. What do you think?
Hats off to the paint and body guys, man. I know they put a lot of work into this thing.
Everybody's worked all night, couple nights, trying to get this thing ready. We got a long day tomorrow, so let's go home and get some sleep.
Yeah, recharge the batteries.
My guys at the shop killed it once, twice, 100 more times. It's unbelievable. You know, mufflers, custom exhaust, new headlights, chrome bumper. John had a lot of work to do in this interior, and obviously, he came with it.
So one of the last things I have left to wrap is going to be the center console. So you're going to have to sew a seam into it so I can wrap it as one piece.
Real men sew.
Yes. Yes, they do.
You know, it's been a long road. Ryan's a great, great guy. Taking care of his dad like this, just giving him something special. Brian has no idea what's about to happen. He's gonna be really, really happy in about 5 minutes. You know, today is Surprise Day. So we're at RPM's new location, and they happen to be celebrating 40 years in business today. So I brought the crew out to get Brian back old Blue Thunder. Man, I love the new property, man. You got way more space here, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, I got a little surprise for Brian. We stashed Blue Thunder in the back of his lot, so I'm gonna ask him to kind of show me around, and we just might happen to stumble across his car. I thought I had a lot of projects. They go on and on and on and on.
Holy looky there.
Here's your 46.
That can't be mine.
Hey. Hey, 40 years in business. Your son here stole your car from you, basically. Told you a fib that I was at another body shop, and we've been working on it.
I knew I should have come down.
Congratulations, you deserve it.
I didn't even think that was my car. I just thought it was somebody brought this thing over and parked it out there. I would have never in my imagination ever thought that was mine.
What do you think,
Woo!
Brian?
Beautiful. Damn.
It doesn't look like the same car, does it?
Not at all.
You got a hell of a son.
Yeah, I do. And he's got some great friends.
You know, when Brian came around the corner and seen his car, you know, he got a little choked up. He was just overwhelmed. which I would be myself. Getting a gift like that, that's truly extraordinary. I mean, this is a good day for Brian and something just never expected. Brian, you know what we started with. I mean, it was pretty much a hull. You know, it was a ton of work to go from where it was to where it is now, obviously. So what we did, we got your car in, totally took it apart, blasted it, and uncovered a lot of work. But as you can see, we've handmade everything. I mean, every bit of the frame itself is all handmade. Of course, we had to do air suspension on it and get it all the way on the ground like this. With big billet wheels, you see the bodywork on this. I mean, the fenders all been molded together, the grills molded to the fenders, handmade running boards, welded the fenders to the body, and it's all just streamlined, super smooth. And of course we had to top that off because the car was Blue Thunder, right? So we had to go back blue. Once Blue Thunder, always Blue Thunder, right?
I agree. When I saw the color, I thought it was really great. Of course, when I was trying to pick out colors for it, it was going to be a lot darker, but man, that is perfect.
Let's check out under the hood.
Okay. Come on. Holy Toledo,
Whoa.
look at that.
Look at there.
Oh, man.
Late model 5.0 Coyote.
Wow.
6-speed transmission. You know, you don't need any more power than this.
No, I don't.
Right?
Woo.
All new firewall, all the way to the floor, all the way to the rear roll pan.
That's totally awesome. When you lifted up that hood and I saw that motor, I was just dumbfounded. It was amazing. Because I had this motor at home I've been trying to put together to go in that car. Nothing compared to what I got in that car. Unbelievable.
We got a few other things to show you. Check this out.
Oh, man. Look at this. That is really cool.
What do you think, Brian's a little different from sheet metal in it, right?
Unbelievable.
It's a little bit more comfortable ride than what you know, before, right?
Yeah.
You know, John in the interior shop just, they definitely showed their skills on this, right? Everything is, you know, hand sculpted and molded to the car. You know, the 4 bucket seats in it, you know, the console, new dash, new column, new everything.
Yeah, I think this is just amazing. This thing is a whole lot more than I ever anticipated. Never even thought about it being like this at all.
Ryan said, build his dad something cool. So
it's cool, no doubt about that.
You know, Brian, we got one more surprise for you. Just to top all this off, I think you're really gonna be impressed a little more.
A little more, let's go.
Whoa, look at there.
Oh, look at that. Wow.
You know, it looks like you'd want to pull your suitcase out here, right? You know, John made you a matching suitcase to tie in all the interior, right? But it's a sub box, so the speaker is actually in that box that looks like luggage. So that's pretty cool,
That's crazy, yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, I've never seen a speaker box look like that.
Where'd that idea even come from?
Right.
You see the luggage in the old 40s era and stuff and the older stuff, but to pull that out your mind and do that,
That's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. What everybody did for me and what my son had done to the car and what Bill did to it is just amazing, and I just can't believe that that really happened. I thank you, son, and I love you.
Love you.
Good job, man.
No, you good job.
Thanks.
You know, I always say, I can't do this myself. You know, this is one more example of just my team getting down, doing what they do, building cool stuff like they do. And they proved it this time by far. You know, building Blue Thunder for Brian, giving him something really cool, that just goes to show you that Brian's a good dude doing good things in the community and for his family. Well, we're gonna probably tack a piece of tubing here and there.
Okay.
Jamie and I are mocking up the first metal work, which would be an all-terrain, all-metal, all-tube custom buggy. The overall feel of the whole project is gonna start taking shape once we get these clamped in. You can kind of step back and kind of see how everything looks, you know.
All right, where's my helmet?
Was it comfy?
Helmet room? Hell no.
Hey, this ain't made to be comfortable. This project is such a reminder of how Ekstensive was started. Starting with nothing and building piece by piece by piece by piece by piece by piece, and here we are. I never would have dreamed I'd be where I'm at right now. Never. It was never a dream come true because I never dreamed that. I just feel totally, totally blessed to be in the position I am, to keep building the business. You know, we got celebrities driving down Sunny Drive to see what's going on at Ekstensive. It's basically a 4-seater monster truck. Monster buggy.
Monster buggy.
You know, projects like this just really make you start thinking where everything started to where it's at right now. We're just getting started.